Yeah, okay, so I've got my space there. I've opened up my ground floor plan so I can see the existing walls. And now I'll put a quick little kitchen in and give you some ideas about some approaches to modelling as well as loading your families. So here I'm using the component tool. I'm going to click on the down arrow and choose place component to make sure it's clear to you that if you click above that line, it's going to choose the default option. So you don't always have to pick there and choose place a component. You can just pick above the line and it does the same thing. So we've got a desk family loaded, which I don't want, so I'm going to click load family. Actually, all used to this, and then I'll go to the default library, and on the left you can always use the metric library shortcut to do that. And so do you know where a lot of the kitchen things live? Well, you think so. In our library we do have a kitchens folder, I think. So yeah, so you've got some things in there, but there's only a fridge. Right, so the kitchen, no, yeah, we'd think so, wouldn't you? But no, so the American term for joinery is casework. So that's where a lot of the kitchen cabinets live because they're joinery. So casework. And so then we've got base cabinets and other things, but I'm just going to go to base cabinets. And you've got these basic cabinets. They're a bit like flat pack furniture, but they do enough for most kitchens. So if you need different types of cupboards and drawers, you can choose one that's close to what you want, as long as it's got a configuration that you can modify. So let's say I want a couple of doors with drawers above them, I'll choose that cabinet. And notice that I'm choosing the ones that don't have a top. You want to avoid the ones that have a bench top. Because we want to do the bench top separately, over the top of all these cabinets. Yeah, that's right, yeah. So we're modelling it in the way you build it. Yeah. So, and it makes it much easier. You'll see there are benches that you can load in as well, but it's easier to do it the way I'm going to show you, and just have them without the bench to start. So I'll get this one, that's got the nice drawers with the doors. So, first thing to look at there, once you've loaded it, this applies to a lot of families, you need to look in properties to see which type you've loaded. So this has two different sizes. So sometimes, just so it's clear, what you see in the thumbnail is going to be different to what you get when it's loaded, because it might have the other one selected. Right, so there are two. This 600mm one, of course, is narrower than the 1 metre one. And the one you see in the thumbnail there, I'm sure, is the 1 metre one. And that's a good thing. In Revit, you can have lots of different sizes from the one family. But that just needs to be clear and make sure you know which one you want. And you can make your own sizes, but we'll get to that later. So then I'm just going to click to place this, and normally it's the back that you place so up against the wall there. And I'll just put in a couple, they will line up. Right, so then I'll get another one. So I'm going to go back to load family, and maybe I want the full cabinet with the drawers. So again, double click. And this time I want it narrower than the other one, but not that narrow. So that's 300, and we've got a 500mm one there. So I'll just place this side by side. Maybe that'll do. And maybe I'll go back to load family and get a corner cabinet. Okay, so there's this one. That's got that ugly diagonal, so I'll get this one. Even though it's grey, we can match the material, so I'll choose this one. And I can place that in the corner. So then I've just pressed escape twice so that I can come back and select these other cabinets, and I'm going to click move and snap to the corner and just move them across to line up. So I could of course just keep placing more and more cabinets like that to build up a bit of a kitchen, but I might just place one or two more back to component and just show you what would happen if I want to place one of the previous cabinets. What a lot of people will do is go load family again, and then double click on the one that they were using before. You'd think that would work, but unfortunately it won't pick for you again in that one. It is, that's right, it's there already, so you've done this before, that's good. So yeah, because it's been previously loaded. Technically it was reloaded when I double clicked, but it just doesn't pick it in the list. Don't know why. I think the programmers are just fussy people and they think you should remember that it's there, and they make you pick it. I don't know why. So there, I'm using space to flip it before I place it here onto this side.
Is there a way when you stand up in doors, behind doors, and like and you load it,
Yeah.
you doesn't so they're not.
Oh yeah, if you want to reduce it, of course. Oh yes, yeah, okay, so if you want to reduce the number in your list, on the Manage tab, you've got Purge Unused. Yeah, that's it. So you can only purge things that aren't being used, so they're not in your project. So you have to have deleted it first, and then you come to this list, and you can, so here, you go to furniture, also not furniture, casework. So there's one that I'm not using, so yeah, I can purge that. Just, yep, make sure it's ticked. So that's the 300mm, that's the 300mm size of this one that I don't want. So that's it. Oh, now I'm going to watch out here, so they're all ticked, I think. Yeah, so I'm going to go check none, and then tick the one, yeah, that's it. So here it's just telling me there's one selected. So if I click OK, now when I go back to that list, the 300mm gone, and just 500. Yeah. So, yeah, so then I'm going to use, I'm just holding down Control here to select all of these cabinets along that wall. So I don't have to change the size of this corner cabinet. I'm just going to select them and click Move and snap it onto the corner here. Doesn't matter if we've got a gap at the back because that's all going to be hidden by my bench. So I've got my cabinets, and I might just do a quick perspective so you can see, it's just a camera, so you can see that the cabinets are there in 3D. What's going on there? Sorry, that's weird. Let's do that again. That's better. Okay, so there we are. So we've got a set of cabinets with no bench on top, and this is exactly how you will build them. I used to work for a furniture maker, and this is what we would do, build them like that, and then come in and put the bench over the top after. So, exactly. And that's why it's easier to do it this way, because when you make the bench, then you can cut out the holes that you need for your sinks and other things as you go. That's what I'm going to do. That's right. That's what you should do. That's perfect. That's the right way. Yep. So I'll be doing that. Now you can do.
It's really hard to put all the things and everything in. So
Okay. Oh. Yep.
Putting the things in somewhere that you've got to cut out the marble.
That's right. Yeah, you've got to cut the hole out yourself. But you always have to do that. So yes, that's right. But yeah, so I'll show you how to do that. So here, so I'm going to go to Modelling Place. Oops. And then I'm going to set the category to the same as those cabinets, to casework. And then we'll call it kitchen bench. And it's just going to be an extrusion. So click extrusion. And then do you know standard bench height? Exactly, yep, perfect, 900, that's right. And then, so that's my extrusion end, that's the top of my bench. So the extrusion start is the bottom of the bench. So it could be 870, it could be 850, depending on the cabinets. I prefer thicker benches, so I'm going to do 850. And then I'm going to draw the shape I want my bench to be. And then I want a bit of an overhang, so I'll show you this tool. So I'm going to use the Pick Lines tool, which is in the Draw panel. Have you used that one before, Pick Lines? Yeah, it's a great option. So you can just pick things instead of drawing them again. And I'm going to then put in this offset setting and make it maybe just 30. And then pick the edge of one of my benches on that side, and then one of the benches on this side. So one of the cabinets on each side. Then I might go back to offset 0 and just pick the right hand side there. So I've got an edge on each side, and with trim to corner, at this one, I can join all of those lines together to make it a closed shape. So I'll finish that, and I missed one, so I didn't join those. The nice thing with Revit, I'll just undo that in case you missed it. When you get that error message, it'll usually show you where the problem is. So it's in orange, you can see there's the problem. And if you're not sure, you can always click the show button and just close this, and it'll zoom to where the problem is. So I know it's not joined, it's hard to see because of the line weights. So if you want to still see more clearly where the problem is, you can also try thin lines up here. That turns the line weights off. Don't just work with thin lines all the time, it becomes hard to see what you're doing. But yeah, it's good to be able to turn that off. And then you can see the gap between those two lines, and when I'm trimming them it's maybe a bit clearer. But I don't like to leave thin lines on all the time. It's nice to see the line weights normally. And that's it, so tick to finish, and then I'll quickly just check that 3D view so you can see that there's a bench top that sits on top of the cabinets. But as you were saying, you'll often need to then cut holes for things like sinks and stoves. So stoves, you don't always need to cut them, even though in real life they do. But sinks you definitely do because you want to see into the bowl. So I'll go back to place component and then load family again, and sinks live in the plumbing fixtures folder normally. So plumbing, and then architectural fixtures.
Are these ones in the Revit one?
Yeah, this is just the default library. Yeah. So in the P we've got tons more, but yeah, these are just the defaults. So I'll just choose one of these sinks. Kitchen sinks usually pretty standard, so even though you can get some really beautiful ones these days. But I'll just go for one of these, and here we are. So I'll just place that over the bench where I want it to go. I might just switch to wireframe so that I can see where the cabinets are and line that up so that it's at least sitting over one of the cabinets. And unfortunately the sink there that I've chosen is a bit too wide for, it's going to hit the edge of the cabinet, which is a problem. So we can make that work, but I don't want to have to do that. So I'm going to go and show you if I go edit type. Families like this usually will have a width that you can adjust, and that's helpful here. So notice the name is 1100 by 535. I can't just choose a new size. So I've got to duplicate that and make my own name. So I'm just going to make it 900 by 535, I'll leave that. And then type in that width, 900. Okay, and you can see there the whole sink's become narrower. So I've lined that up, but then still in 3D, of course, if we look at it in shaded or realistic, there's no hole in the bench.
Yeah.
But because it's been made with model in place, it's fairly easy to come back and edit that now. So back into the ground floor plan, I'll go to edit in place. If you missed it, all I've done is select the bench top, edit in place, and then I'm going to go to void forms, void extrusion.
What's it called, sorry?
Void forms, yeah. There's a few ways of doing it, but this works. So again, void forms, void extrusion, and then I'll draw a rectangle that just sits a little bit outside the edge of that set of sink bowls. Yeah, yeah. So it's all going to be covered by the top of the sink. And then the height can be the same as the previous extrusion. That's fine, because it's going from 850 to 900. So that's going to cut a hole out from that bench. You can make it higher, but it doesn't have to be. That's it. So I'm going to check my 3D view. And you can see there, cutting a hole. And look, I'm going to go through all of the modelling tools, of course. So with Model in Place, you've got a whole range of other modelling options. But I'm sure you've seen a lot of them. Blend, Revolve, Sweep, Swept Blend, and then the same things for voids. But don't be afraid to use extrusions if you think that's all you need, because 90+% of building components are just made with extrusions. They're just not always from the ground plane. They might be extruded from, a vertical plane or something like that. And we'll get into that too, working in different planes. But yeah, lots of things you can do with extrusions. And sometimes you can just do a simplified version, just do a block form with the overall size of your object, and then later you can come back and add more detail. So extrusions are great, and pretty much most things in SketchUp are just extrusions. to start, and you can do a lot with that, of course, in SketchUp. So there we are. Yeah, so that might give you some ideas for starting to put in some of your design elements. And again, make sure you've got a good idea about the other resources for families. And you know, if someone else has done the work for you, it's always great to be able to load that in. And so the Revit library folder on the P drive, you're welcome to copy that, of course. It's a fairly large folder, but I've reduced it a bit so you can copy it. It was over 10 gig before, but I think I've got it down again. No, it's getting up again. Yeah, 8 or 9 gig. If you've got a decent memory stick, you'll fit it. Anyhow, 6 gig. Yeah. Anyhow, we're going to keep going with families and modelling next week, but hopefully that'll give you something to go on with. And don't be afraid to put in your own walls and other new things for the interior as well. Walls, doors, windows, keep using those elements to add things. Oh, right, so then, yeah, so if you're looking at concept modelling, block forms with extrusions are a really good way of just blocking out different areas.
Okay.
And if you have a go at that, what I can also show you next week is massing, because that's something I actually do like to look at with this subject. It's a bit more advanced than what you've been doing. So have you done any massing before or seen massing? It's an amazing thing. In Revit, you've got this whole other modelling system that's based around massing. And there you can see conceptual mass. I'm not going to go into it now, but just so you can see it's this other tool. And it's a much more powerful modelling tool than what you've just seen. Yeah, yeah. So we'll go into that too, and that's great for conceptual modelling. But no, you won't have a huge amount of time to do conceptual work for this project, so try and start. You can even sketch to do your block planning and yeah, that's fine, and then you can translate those things into Revit later. So that should be plenty to keep you going with anyway, and so try and keep going with the design during the week if you can, and then we'll pick up with modelling next week, and hopefully get on to some massing.